All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is 4 o'clock on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. We will bring this Personnel Human Services Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Johnson?
Here.
Krieger?
Excused.
Fox?
Excused.
Bigot?
Here.
Boonin?
Here.
Radke? Here. Here.
Here.
All right, now we'll move on to the minutes of October 11th, 2022.
Motion approved. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now comes the opportunity for public input. If there is anyone out there that would like the opportunity to go ahead and address the committee, may do so. Just make sure that you sign in at the podium.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Kirchman. I live at 309 South Linwood Beach Road, Linwood, Michigan, and I'm here as a member of both the Council Township Parks and Recs Committee as well as the Linwood Civic Improvement Club. And I'm here today asking your support for all the effort that's been put in place to try to develop the Linwood Scenic Access Site, which is at the end of Linwood Road at Saginaw Bay, which is owned both by Fraser and Council Townships. This project will add a new steel seawall to replace the old riprap that was there. It will create a new green space area for picnicking. It will add an ADA handicapped kayak launch. It will also add a seasonal rolling fishing pier on this first phase, which will complement the existing concrete boat ramp that was put in the 1960s. And this will increase attraction economically to people to come to our area. This location of our park is less than 2 blocks east of the railroad tracks, and those of you that are aware of the Iron Bell Rail Trail will know that that trail will be coming just the east side of those railroad tracks, allowing anybody to ride a bike down to that park as well. This park will have improved economic benefits too, like the potentially increased traffic at our 4 local restaurants, the Linwood Party Store, Linwood Beach Marina, and Frank's Great Outdoors, all of which sell bait and tackle and all kinds of various fishing and hunting gear. Unlike some areas of the state, these park improvements have the support of the local beach residents that live along North Linwood Beach Road, because all these residents have to drive past the park once you come to the end of Linwood Road and turn to the north to go to their homes. And how do I know this? Because over a dozen of them belong to our Linwood Civic Improvement Club, which is why as soon as this meeting adjourns, I have to leave so I can get there to take the minutes for that meeting. But the main reason to apply your support to this particular project is this is one of the few areas in Bay County with access to the Saginaw Bay that is totally free. Currently, you can go down there. There are no charges to use that area. This park, once it's developed, there will be no charges. And it is literally drive down the street and you are right there at the water. You don't have to park. You can stay in your car and you can see the water. It is just something that will bring a lot of value to Bay County. And many of us have been working on this for many, many years. And now that we're getting closer, we would really like anybody's support in Bay County to bring some development to our area in northern Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't drive too fast. I actually have a husband in the park.
Hi, my name is Annette Rummel, and I'm here representing the Bay County Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as the Great Lakes Bay Regional Convention and Visitors Bureau. And I'm also here to talk about the improvements at the Linwood Scenic Access Site. Michelle talked about the residential fabric and how this would benefit them. I'm here to talk about the visitors that come here and the positive economic impact that a project like this will have on not only Bay County, but the entire Great Lakes Bay region. Oh, I didn't say my address. Am I supposed to say my address? Okay. anyway, it will have a very positive impact, and this will be one of the only free locations within the Great Lakes Bay region that will have access to the Saginaw Bay. I don't know if you remember the big soccer tournaments that came in over the course of the past few years, but one of the biggest complaints that we received was that there was no free access to where people could go and sit and look at the Saginaw Bay or have access to the Great Lakes Bay region. This project will certainly help fill a big gap that exists. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing no more, we will move on to petitions and communications, and we'll move right into a presentation by Mr. Brian Krause for the Missing Middle Program.
So moved. Support.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brian Krause. I am the Executive Director at Habitat for Humanity of Bay County. Don't mind me, I got an abscessed tooth, so if every once in a while I kind of moan a little bit, it's only because of that. Today, I want to just tell you a little bit about Habitat for Humanity. We were formed in 1992 here in Bay County, and we've built 48 new houses and homes in Bay County since then. We've done over 300 critical home repairs, and since the pandemic, we've actually done over 125 critical home repairs for local residents here, including 50 veterans that we've done in the last 3 years, 40 furnaces, 15 roofs, quite a bit. We've worked in all 15 townships in Bay County in the last 3 years, so I'm pretty proud of what we've done with our critical home repairs program. But what I'd like to talk to you today about is our building new houses. We'd like to build some new homes. I've been working close with Wayne Hoffman, and we are working on a missing middle program, and that's through the state of Michigan, through MSHDA. And what they're going to do is they're going to give us some money, but I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the problem that we have. There's a lack of new housing stock in Bay City, and the reason is the cost of construction. It far exceeds what it costs to what we can sell the house for. You know, in 2019, I could go buy a sheet of OSB for $8. It got up to over $45 a sheet. You know, and a 2x4, what's $1.75, that it got up to like almost $8 a 2x4. And think about what you put in a home. I mean, 50 sheets of OSB right there, you're talking 5 times the cost. So, and the other problem is that we have is the decline of home ownership in some of the neighborhoods. A lot of people can't afford repairs on their homes. So what do? They just walk away from them. A lot of people, they're walking away from the home, so then the home sits there vacant or whatever the case may be. And then, as you know, when somebody's working in a neighborhood and they're doing a nice job keeping their house clean and doing things like that, the neighbors seem to pick up the neighborhood and they take pride in it. And I think that's going away a little bit there, so that's one of our problems. The challenges that we have, in the past, Habitat could build a house. When we built our houses, we could build one for $50,000 or $60,000. I mean, that's everything, complete. And we're putting the family in it. We can sell it to them for $60,000. We're right there. They're in a home. We're happy. We're doing what we're supposed to do. Now the home values are too low. I mean, you compare the house, I mean, what it costs to build a house and what you can sell it for and what it appraises for. There's just a really big difference there, and it's too hard to recoup the cost to build the house. So due to that, there's also a lack of interest for people wanting to build the houses. I mean, no construction company is going to come in and say, hey, I'm going to build a house and I'm going to spend $300,000 and get $150,000 for it. So that's one of the big challenges that we're facing right now. And that takes us to, they came up earlier this year, a thing called the Missing Middle Program. And it focuses on individuals that are at 185 to 300% of AMI, or the federal poverty level, actually, which is about $51,000 to $83,000 for a family of 4. They're going to give gap funding up to $50,000 per house sold. There's actually another $10,000 you can get if you do energy efficient things. There's a lot of energy efficient type things that you can do to the house with the furnaces and insulation and stuff, so we're going to work on that also. Only nonprofits were eligible to apply, and there's $2 million in this area set aside. 46 or for 48 throughout the whole state of Michigan. For this round, there's another round that's going to be coming up next year, starting in January. And our project team so far, Habitat is the project sponsor. We're working with the Community Development Department over in the city, the County Land Bank with Wes and everybody. We have a couple of properties over on Grant Street that we'll be talking about, and that's what we'd like to do, and they're in the land bank right now. So if we can work something out, we're going to do that. Working with GHC, General Housing Corporation, which is right over, you know what I'm talking about, right over by the bridge there. They are a company, they've been in Bay County for years, for I think like 40 years now. They build other homes right here in Bay County. A lot of the materials come from here, and they not only do they sell them here, but they actually ship them all over the state. Our Habitat, I have a Habitat up in Petoskey that's buying them from General Housing right now, and they're doing about 18 a year through them. So, and the houses are amazing. They're not a modular, they're not a, what do you call it, like a mobile home. They're a modular home. They're built, a lot of them are built with 2x6 construction, extra insulation, and everything is really high class on them. So, I mean, they're done nice. And then also HD5 Strategics, which is Wayne Hoffman, like I say, and he's been helping me out quite a bit with this, and we're working pretty closely together on that.
Question. Bay City Housing Authority.
Okay.
Where do they fit in this? I don't see them on this thing here.
They're not in here yet. We haven't really talked with them, to tell you the truth.
It seems like they'd be a sort of a key component, maybe? I don't know.
We could. It's just, I mean, I think the only problem I can see with that is possibly with the missing middle program, with the 185 to 300% federal poverty level. Sometimes they might be too high for the poverty level with Bay Housing. So we'll find out more, though. I'll take that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Juan. Our project locations, we're looking to construct at least 3 to 4 homes in the next 3 years, and they're going to be, like I say, going for the missing middle program. We'll be filling vacant lots with tax generating properties. So what's nice about that is these houses that we are looking at doing. McClellan Street, it's 2 blocks behind Central High School, so I mean it'll be a great place to put a family in there. They can get close to the high school right there. It's a great corner location there. Matter of fact, if anybody looks, they might recognize that was Kevin Green's house, the old sheriff, and it burnt down quite a few years ago, and that lot's been vacant since. 1216 Park, it's right next to the rail trail there. We're going to be building there, and then there's 2 lots on Grant Street that we're looking to build on. And the other thing I'd like to say too is about the Habitat houses. They're not your grandma's modular. These are not houses that, I mean, in the past we have built houses that are just, just a plain Jane house, because our thing is, we want just safe and decent housing for people. But the houses that we're building through General Housing are amazing. You can't tell the difference. I mean, they have well, as you see, there's some examples here and in your packet there too. And these are the houses that we're looking to do on Grant Street because they'll fit right in with what's been there. So I guess so far I'd like to ask if there's any questions just about the houses and Habitat.
So I'm on the Michigan Community Action Agency, so I know they have a big weatherization program. We just had a presentation in our last meeting, and I know they're pretty active in that area. I think that's more weatherization and some, I think they're doing some upgrading and housing too in this area. Bay County is in the area. And I know there's some veterans funding. You mentioned the veterans thing, which I'm always interested in, and
Right.
there's a veterans funding there too. So
Yeah, and I've been working closely with Mid-Michigan actually, and I know their funding just got cut, and they're now going to just do the weatherization program, like the insulation and stuff.
Yeah.
I've talked with them probably 3-4 times in the last month, so I am working closely with them, and they do a lot of, we'll call back and forth, like say if I need a furnace or something like that, they might help us pay for that.
plus I'm getting a lot of calls from people that don't have a house. They're on the street. I got
Yes.
a call from a guy in Bernie Park and said, I have nowhere to go. I'm in Bernie Park. What do I do? Now, some of them have been to the shelter and maybe got kicked out of the shelter, and there's other backstory to work on, but it seems like there's a big increase.
Yes, there is, and that's, that's why that's why we're here today, is to talk about affordable housing and trying to get some, there's not many people out there right now that can afford to, get a $250,000 mortgage. But maybe with this program and the help of you guys, we can actually put some people in homes that can afford it, that, like the Alice population and stuff like that. So.
Plus, their interest rates will probably go up again another 75 basis points sometime this week.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we do as much as we can, and that's why over the last couple of years, we've really focused on the critical home repairs, because we just want to keep people in their houses. We want to make sure that, their furnaces work and their roof isn't leaking, their electrical is working. But I think we're getting to the point now that we'd like to actually start building some houses on some properties. And we're going to continue to do the critical home repairs, but we can start building houses. Any other
Brian,
questions? I can.
now, were you saying that GHC is going to build the homes? So if you have a lot anywhere, whether it's a city or outside the city, and they will build the home for you, is that how
Yeah.
we're going to do it?
And the beauty of it is that they come in parts. So, I mean, like a lot of these are going to be 2 stories, so there'll be 2, they'll put the bottom and the top. And what we're looking at a thing called superior walls too. I don't know if anybody's heard of it or not, but for the basements or for the crawl space. And what they do is they come in, they're built down at Grand Rapids with like 2.5-inch Dow foam. Then there's the concrete is on the outside of them, and they put them together and they're waterproof. Their rating, if you put extra insulation in there, like R19 in there, you get like a 43 rating on the on your R value for the house. So I mean, they're a great piece. But by the time you put the basement in, you dig the basement, put the basement in, and set the house, you can have that all done within 3 weeks. Now, if you're going to build a house, I mean, if anybody's built the house, I mean, this is going to take you 6, 7, 8 months. And with Habitat, I got to try to find volunteers to do this. I have to find people, I have to find contractors to do it. So really, with the price difference, by the time you take all the consideration, this is actually probably cheaper to build with GHC than it is building a regular house, a stick-built home.
You mentioned something about with county's help. What was that about?
I'll be talking to you in just a couple minutes about that.
Oh, okay, I thought you were done.
No, I'm not done. I got a few more, but I wanted to ask a couple just general
All right.
questions if anybody
All
has.
right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Brian, that critical infrastructure program that you're involved with is really important. As you know, we've worked and I know you have a
Yes.
lot of people on your list. So it's important to keep people in their home too. And,
Right.
and it is less costly than the big projects. But I have to say, some of these new homes that are being constructed are a lot different than the single-story ranches that I helped build, some
Yeah, and-
decades ago, I guess. But-
And even some of the single or 1.5 stories that we have are amazing with the, with what we're doing with the front of them and the porches and and they're all they're all accessible. What we do is we put ramps right on every house now. I mean, going up the back, there's actually a concrete ramp going up to it, so you never have to worry about you getting a wheelchair ramp. You always, if you ever anybody come over, they're all set for that. The energy, like I say, the energy efficiency, we're putting all, LED lighting in there. We're doing so much for. We're going to try to get the extra $10,000 for having the green home, and basically what that comes down to, I think you have to have like a 35 HERS rating, which I can talk to you guys more about that later if you'd like to or not. But it's basically just going to cut down on the carbon footprint a lot on the houses. Anybody else? All right, I'll go real quick through a couple more slides here. All right, what we need from the county. All right, what we need really for right now is a support letter for the missing middle application. We need local support from everybody, so we're working with the city and with the county and with a lot of other partners on this, so we can get this to MSHDA and get the application. And the application is it's a long application, but we have to have these pieces to let them know that we do have support of the county. So, and basically it's a support letter for us building and also for the affordable housing, workforce housing, and the missing middle work in Bay County. So that's what we're asking for that. Development agreement with the land bank, we'll be working with Wes, and if we can get the missing middle, then we're going to get the houses from Grant Street, and we'll be building 2 houses over on Grant Street. And if this goes well, I mean, what we're hoping to do is we haven't built a house since, I think, 2016 in Bay County. And really, if you look at Bay City, there's been very, very few. Most of the houses that have been built in the last few years have been Habitat houses that were built. So what we're hoping to do is to get to the point where we're doing at least 1 or 2 houses a year, where we're building 1 or 2 new houses in Bay County a year, and we'll work closely with the land banks. And when they tear a house down, I know right now we're talking about 415 Raymond. When you guys are coming in on Thomas Street, you see that big green house that's fallen in, and we want to get down. We're talking about getting that and maybe building 2 or 3 houses on that one. So So that's why we're looking for support. We need to make sure that we have the support of our local partners like the county and the city and everything.
Mr. Chair, do we make the resolution now or put it under new business? Up to you.
Are you finished?
He's not done.
Can I do two more slides, and I'll
Go ahead.
promise I'll get out of your hair.
Yes.
And the other thing we're looking for, this is something we've talked about a little bit with a couple of the commissioners. We're looking for one of the following, and this is only if it's needed. I don't know that we're going to need this, but if we can say, hey, this is available, then that will help a lot in the grand scheme of things when we're moving forward. Up to $20,000 in additional gap grant funding per house. Basically, and the next slide will show you a little bit more of what we're talking about with that. And it also provides reassurance to the state that we have local support. Or participate in a construction period loan. Gap commitment could be partially or fully forgivable loan, and it's like the unbankable portion of the loan. Basically, what we're anticipating is that the house is going to cost about $230,000 to build. Now, that's going to be the part of the house itself is only going to be probably about $100,000 to $120,000, but all the infrastructure and everything else is going to go along with that. You got to bring in plumbers, you got to bring in, everything's got to be done. So we're looking at about $230,000. We figure the house will probably valued at about $160,000. The missing middle program, if we can get the $50,000 there, that would be put it up to $210,000. Now, we may be able to cut the price of the house down a little bit, so maybe we can get it down to the $210,000. But if we don't, that's where we'd like to have some support from the county, saying that maybe with some ARPA funds or something, we can to bring these new housing developments into the county.
What's the status of like the last houses that were built? I remember this, hearing of houses that were built maybe on the west side somewhere that were sold to people. The house, Habitat for Humanity built them, sold them, and so are the same. Do we know the same people still live there? That is it they sold again or what?
Actually, I'm very impressed that right now we have 23 mortgages on the books still in Bay County for Habitat. Most of them are in the city. But out of those 23, during the whole pandemic, we only had 2 people out of the whole time that got more than 2 months behind on their mortgage. 80% of them were essential workers, and like 50% work in healthcare. So I mean, these families that are coming in here, when you get a Habitat house, we don't just say, hey, here's a house for you or whatever. You have to go through. It takes like a year to get through training. They take financial classes. They take classes on, how to do repairs in the house. They have to do like credit worthiness and stuff. You have to raise. It's $1,000, but I mean they have to raise $1,000. Every adult in the house that's over 18 has to do 250 hours of community service, either on the house or we send them out in the community to do stuff. So, and you have to apply for, you have to get a mortgage. You have to actually qualify for the mortgage. So, it's not, it's not the typical. A lot of people think that's what the case is. Now, are there a couple houses that maybe, we've, they haven't taken care of as much as we were hoping for? Yes, but I mean, look at every house in the country. I mean, it's not everybody is. And I think with the stuff that we have them doing with, putting the community service in and putting their sweat and tears into this house, they're going to be a little bit more apt to really take care of it. And we also put first right of refusal on the houses. So if they try to sell beforehand, they have to stay. I think it's 10 years is what we put on it. They have to stay in the house for at least 10 years. And if they don't, then they have to pay all the money back that was, like this money here will be paid back. So, yes, Vaughn.
So it's $20,000 gap grant per home. How many homes are you looking at doing?
We're looking at doing 4 in the next 3 years.
Okay.
And like I say, that's the one on 15th, the one on Park, and the 2 on Grant Street.
What style?
They're probably going to be, the ones on Grant will be like this. Oh, sorry. This type. The ones on, I wish I had a picture of the one. Do I have it here? The ones on 15th and on Park will probably be more like a 1.5-story, but I mean, it's got a full porch. It's all like scallop on the top. I mean, it's a nice looking house. And I'd more than happily send you guys some pictures of what we're looking at. But we have to send all that into, we've already sent those plans into MSHDA to make sure they're all approved.
Is there a waiting list?
Yes, actually, in the last 3 years, I've got over 125 applications for people that need housing in Bay County. We have a lot of them going through, right now what they do is they actually apply through Habitat Michigan. They do all the financial counseling, they go through and they make sure that they get all the paperwork. And what they'll do is once they get everything done and they know they got their taxes, they know that they qualify, they'll call up and say, hey, oh, they qualified for this much, you take the next step. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. Now we come back and we know they're qualified. And any other questions?
I got one, Brian.
Sure.
So has there been any thought put into place if we were going to do this? How much do you think, as far as like property taxes and such, if you did these 4 homes, and if someone did have to put up the $20,000 per home, how much?
I'm going to show you this, but I don't think it's right. Well, I shouldn't even show you that. Well, you figure, if the case is, say the county got $1,000 from each home from the tax, that property tax for $4,000, they got $1,000 for each one. I mean, that's $30,000. Plus you take the 2% inflation over the years. I mean, you're probably up to maybe 50,000 possibly. Wayne knows a lot more about that. He actually put something together, but.
So Brian had called and asked the tax question, and so we pulled a comparable in the area, and it looked like their base tax was around $1,100 a year, of which the county operating is approximately $550 a year. Obviously, all the other voter-approved villages, schools, et cetera, are all part of that, but we can definitely do that calculation for you if you're interested.
Yeah. But I mean, and I'm not, like I say, I wish I knew a little bit more about that part. I'm kind of more the builder. I'm doing a lot of that stuff, but Wayne's working on that part of it. But he couldn't be here. He does apologize. He was in Traverse City today for another meeting, so he couldn't be here. But yes, I can definitely, I'll tell you what, I can send you some plans, and I can tell you a little bit more for sure on what that would be.
And Brian, the motion for the resolution for support, is it fairly time sensitive? I know
yes, it is. Yeah, we actually, what they do is it's the money is, they have the money for each region, and our region gets $2 million, and it's first come, first serve basis. Now, there's been, I think, a couple other people who have applied for it, but we're looking at $200,000 to $240,000 from them. So we will be applying as soon as we have our support from everybody and we have everything together.
All right. Any other questions?
So the support, this first I heard of it, so maybe there were some meetings that have been ongoing that I never attended, never was invited. I would have attended. So this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Okay.
So if we agree to, move and support and we pass this, are we saying that we're going to give $20,000 per house for that gap?
Well, I would like that. What we would like to have support, a letter of support, a resolution of support for the project itself. And then we would also like to, the two things we had, either the loan,
Yeah, I think, I've been around the city and the county, and there is a need for housing. So if we can get a house and get people in there qualified for, but if you stick a house in the city for $250,000, your taxes are going to be higher than $1,100 a year, because they're going to be getting, they're going to be paying 50% of the value of the home, correct? So that's going to be a significant. And I don't know. You're the one that screens the people to ensure that they can make the payment and then pay the taxes and the utilities as well, right?
Right.
For $20,000 to put some housing in the city or in wherever it's needed, I don't think it's a bad investment, because if you walk around and if you can take an area that. If there's a vacant lot and you can improve that area, maybe other people will likewise improve. Because we got to do something in regards to But this is the first I've heard of it, so I don't have a problem supporting it, but I guess I would need to know what's going on if we fund it and.
Sure. Well, and the thing I will follow up with that is I was going to say, just like we said earlier, if you go into a neighborhood and, you fix up your house, most likely your neighbor's going to do something. Then all of a sudden, everybody's doing it. We did a little project over on 11th Street a couple of years ago where we went through and we helped like 11 of the neighbors in that neighborhood. And I had other neighbors that were coming out and giving us money saying, hey, we don't want anything done, but, do this. And then all of a sudden, they're taking care of their houses a little bit more. And, we work a lot with, we look in neighborhoods that have code violations with the city, and we try to get into those neighborhoods and clean those neighborhoods up. And so not only your taxes on that one house that we're building, but now all of a sudden your neighbors are taking a little pride, and their houses are getting better, and the whole neighborhood's getting better, and all of a sudden the houses are selling for more. And then that's more money for.
Well, we've got to bring people into the community.
Yes, we do.
The whole town.
Amber, what is our first step to this letter, just to the letter of support, is that our first step in this? Or how would you recommend we proceed from this now?
Because of the way the agenda is set up right now, and there was not a motion to add a new matter to the agenda at this point in time, what the request is to receive the report. Because the board speaks through its resolutions, if you're going to approve this particular program or sign a letter of support for this program where it's part of the MSHDA packet to approve, what I would suggest is that you bring it up at the full board meeting this month. That way you will have an opportunity to look at the language that you're going to be sending as part of the MSHDA packet and have an opportunity to review that before you take any formal action on it at the full board meeting.
Well, we can't do anything to the full board meeting anyway.
Correct. But right now, you don't have any, you don't have any language
But
right now.
it could be, we could move it, support it, and have it put on the full board agenda and go from there.
But you don't have any language to move and support. Whereas if you do it at the full board meeting, you can have something prepared ahead of time that you can actually move and support it at that point in time, so long as it's brought by a commissioner, the full board meeting.
Either way, it would be addressed at the full board.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So we simply receive the presentation, and then for the next board meeting, which would be the 15th. Is that correct? It's not the 8th?
It's the third Tuesday.
Third Tuesday,
Yes.
yeah. So that's the 15th, yeah. So, is that correct? Okay, I want to make sure I got my calendar right.
And
Okay.
the only piece that I didn't add to that was, the other thing we're looking at too is once we build these houses, there's going to be interest in housing in Bay County. We're going to have there's a lot of philanthropists and stuff out there too that I think will want to get more involved with getting more housing in Bay County. So, I think that's going to help us, say the missing middle goes away right away. By the time we sell a couple of houses and we get people involved and they see what they are, I think we're going to get a lot more interest also. So, well, thank you very much for everybody for your time. And sorry it took so long, but.
Last question. Is this a clock tower view? Here's the screenshot of the city of Bay City, because it looks like a clock tower.
I think it is.
I just had my grandchildren up there a couple of weeks ago, and it looks like looking out.
Yeah, you can see pretty much everything.
East from the clock tower. I can see them, well, I think it's the manor over there. Nice shot.
Thank you.
That's a long walk up there.
All right, thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So if we could have a motion to receive this and then refer to the full board?
Support.
All right. Then that's what we'll do. Any opposed? No? Good. All right, we'll move on to item B, the Personnel Director, number 1, USW reclassification recommendations.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Number 2, reclassification requests,
So moved.
Support?
both A and B? Or just A? How about if we just go with A? So that's been moved and supported.
Question.
And discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Begay.
So is this more to attract more people, or is it just they have more responsibility type position?
Well, are we talking about A or B or both?
Just A.
A?
A.
So
Yeah, for A, yes, is it more to attract
It's
somebody
not,
that?
no, it's not necessarily to attract. A is the assistant finance officer, and we found that it's just basically inappropriate for that position to be included in a collective bargaining agreement. It should be considered a non-representative position because of the role that it plays with management
making recommendations of that nature. The union did agree with it, and this is the closest pay scale without going backwards in pay for that individual. So it's not based on the financial aspect, just to appropriately put them in the spot that they should be in.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, been moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now, a reclassification request, letter B, Network Application Specialist.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Coonan.
Well, reading it, it seems as though the union agrees with this as well.
Yes, all of the individuals and the unions.
And both of these are upgrades in pay, which those folks deserve as well. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. And that's
Correct.
pretty much accurate.
Any other discussion? All right, all opposed? All in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Aye. Don't want to mess everybody up there. Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Now I'll move on to vacancies at 911 Central Dispatch and Animal Services and Adoption Centers.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And now, number 4, revised personnel policy, seeking board approval.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Yes, Commissioner Coonan.
Synopsis was talk of just language or no other changes, right?
That's correct. It's mostly clerical and just lining things up with some of our other, the language like for bereavement leave and things of that nature. And there were some just like adding Juneteenth and things of that nature are in
So I
there.
didn't see what was taken out unless I missed it.
Oh, it's in there. It was highlighted in yellow and crossed off. So
Okay, all right.
all of the changes are noted in that policy.
Just check.
Yeah.
It made for good reading on Sunday afternoon on the back porch. I have to admit, I skimmed some of it, but it was great going through. All right, moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item C, Office of Assigned Counsel, September 2022 report. Motion to receive. Moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Okay, any referrals? Unfinished business? New business? No closed session? Miscellaneous? Announcements?
Well, I'm thinking we're not going to meet next week. So the 11th is Veterans Day. So that'll be
Sir.
Friday next week. County building. Keep forgetting Memorial Day is at 11:11. I think this is a 9 o'clock one. Serious. Pretty sure it's 9 o'clock.
Usually early.
Yeah.
9 a.m. Thank you. I also have an announcement. Let's see, Garber's fall play, She Kills Monsters. That begins this Thursday and goes all the way through Sunday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday performances are 7 o'clock. Doors open at 6:30. $5 for students, $10 for adults. Sundays is a matinee performance, 2 o'clock. Doors open at 1:30.
Is it scary?
You know, my neighbor's daughter has the second, she's got the second biggest part in it, so I'm pretty excited for her, and she was trying not to look nervous yesterday when she came trick-or-treating, but I'm sure she's going to do an amazing job, so I'm excited to go check it out. Anything else?
I
Yes.
had an announcement. So the county participated today in the morning and noon Rotary's Vocational Day. So the county took 17 students this morning, and they participated in job shadow experiences in the Department on Aging, in the Finance Department, in ISD, in Personnel, in Environmental Affairs, Buildings and Grounds, Treasurer's Office, Health Department, Central Dispatch, Sheriff's Office, and Corporation Counsel. So I want to thank everybody who gave students an insight into county government, and it was a good morning.
Awesome. That's great.
Now, was that something that we talked about a while ago on getting kids some experience as they graduate through high school, that they may want to go into a career? Is that something that?
It would address that need. It's an annual program, with the exception of 2 COVID years, that Rotary, both morning and noon Rotary, have collaborated on to give high school students job shadowing experiences, just so that they can see the day-to-day workings of, different businesses based on their interests. So we had people who were interested in all sorts of things. Sports management was one, and chose to come and job shadow at the county. So it was a good, I think, hopefully eye-opening, gave them, I know purchasing, many students remarked they didn't know about what purchasing was or how important it was or how things happened, so give them some new ideas and exposure.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn? All in order?
Moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned.